Tana Rabbi Chia said, Esav Arba Obis Nezikin, there are 24 Obis Nezikin. What are the 24 Obis Nezikin? Number one, Tashlume Kefil. If a Ganev steals and he's caught, he has to pay Kefil. What does that mean? That means, the Torah says, like Rashi says, Imi Motzi Timotzi Biyode Agneva, Chayim Shnayim Yishalim. So, which means that if a Ganev steals, and then they found out in Beis Din that he's lied, so he has to pay Tashlumei Kefil. So Tashlumei Kefil, this is Av Melacha. Now, number two, with Tashlumei Bava Kamah, and also the payment of 4 and 5. If somebody steals, let's say, an ox or a sheep, and he either butchers it, he chefs it, or he sells it, so the halacha is he has to pay either 4 or 5 times the amount. So that's also Av Melacha. The Ganev, let's say a Ganev now, he's made that he's a Ganev, so he has to pay the Keren. For example, if let's say the Eidim, there's no Eidim there, and he's made it by himself. So the halacha is in that case for Ganev, also the Gazlan, let's say a robber, or a robber, like the Torah says, V'heishav is a Zela Shir Gazal, and the Gazlan, or Eidim Zemim. So let's say if you have witnesses who testify, that somebody did something and they were proven to be Eidim Zemim. So that is also that they have to pay is also a Av. Is also a Av. It's part of Obis Nezik. Well, Oines, and somebody, let's say, who rapes a Naira Psula, that he has to pay 50 Kosef, that also is a Av. Ve'amefata, also as well, somebody who seduces a Naira Psula that has to pay 50 Kosef, that's also 50. Now, Umaitzi Shemra, and as well, somebody on a Isha Psula, if somebody marries a woman, and he says that I married this woman, she says she's a Psula and she's a Bula. So that's a Umaitzi Shemra. Number 9, Vehamatami. Somebody who's Matame Truma. For example, if let's say a Sheretz touched Truma of a Kayin, so now he messed over that the Kayin can't eat the Truma anymore. Or Vehamedamea. What's Medamea? Medamea means you go ahead and you mix up Truma and Chulin together. So now that you mix Truma and Chulin together, the only one who was able to eat it is the Kayin. So you caused a loss, let's say, for Yisrael. Number 11, Vehamanasich means you went ahead and you poured wine for Avodah Zarah. So, which is also Ba'ana. So, over there you have 11. Vehani Tleser, and also he agrees to the 13 that Rabbi brought. So, how good? Put the noise away. Turn the sound off from the noise. So you have now 24. Okay? So you have the 11 which we enumerated, and then you have 13 in Rabbi Shia. Altogether, that's 24. Why didn't Rabbi Shia teach these Esav Arba? Why didn't he teach the case of Kefil, Tashlumei Arba, Chamisha, Ganav, all these things? Why didn't he teach it? So my answers are this. Rabbi Shia is dealing with money matters. For example, when somebody damages something, so he has to pay a monetary value. However, B'knas Olei Kamari, Rabbi Shia is not dealing with Chiyuvi Knas. A Chiyuv Knas, that is when somebody damages, let's say, $100 worth. So he has to pay $100 worth. Knas is more than your owe. That Rabbi Shia is not dealing with. So the Gemara asks, Ganev, one second, what about somebody who's a Ganev that we know a Ganev has to pay Keren? The Gazlan and a Gazlan, the Memaina, which that's Memaina. So the Chayda listening, Rabbi Shia should teach that, at least Rabbi Shia, in his 13, he should teach Ganav and Gazlan. And we know Ganav and Gazlan is taught in Reb Chia's Brisa. So you're answering and you're saying, Ganav and Gazlan is also Memaina. The Gemara says, Haktani later, Rabbi Shia taught Shem Rechina v'Hashel. Rabbi Shia taught, if you remember, in the Obis, part of the Obis is when a Shem Rechinam damages or a Shreil damages. So what's the case of Shem Rechinam and Shreil? That will include the Chiyuv of a Ganav and a Gazlan. Why? Because if the Shem Rechinam, let's say for examples, we know a Shem Rechinam is Pater for Gneva and Aveda. So let's say the Shem Rechinam now, he says, it got stolen from me. And now, so he swore falsely. So what's the din? Now, he swore falsely, he has to pay. He has to pay what he lied about, and with Eidim and everything, he has to pay kefil. So we see that. So the Shemrechinim and the Sheol doesn't really get into the Sheol, but the Shemrechinim and the Sheol was by mentioning Ganem and Gazlan, it's already included in the words of Shemrechinim and Sheol. Okay, so now the Gemara asks, but Reb Chia Nami Lecheda Reb Chia as well. Tani Le Shemrechinim Sheol Lecheda Reb Chia as well. It says already Shemrechinim and Sheol. So why, if according to Reb Chia, if this is the Brisa of Reb Chia, if Ganem and Gazlan is part of Shemrechinim and Sheol, why mention it again? So my answer is this: Tana Memena the Asli Yade Bateda. Tana Memena the Asli de Besura. Reb Chia he taught these cases by itself, because in the case of the Shemer, that whatever they got came beheter. They gave the Sheol, or they gave the Shemer Sav, the Shchidam, they gave him the object beheter. Mashen gain in the Reb Chia's case, got in the Gazlan, they took the money without permission. So it's very, very different. So now the Gemara asks, Reb Chia taught Reb Chia. So he says 24 of his Nezikin. So he lists all. Because he includes all the very yeah. So why are you including Ganem and Gazlan if it's part of Shemer, Chinam, and Sheol? Why are you including it? So it must be. So he says it's different. Now that we're asked, Eidim Zemim the Memenu. So one of the categories that Reb Chia mentioned is Eidim Zemim, and we know that when Eidim Zemim are what do they have to pay? They have to pay kasher what they tried to do lasis la'achiv. So they're not paying extra; they're just paying what they tried for the first party to be mechuyev. So l'cheda if Eidim Zemim is the Memenu, listening to Rabbi, should have mentioned it. After the Gemara Sovla Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi holds like Shita of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva is a das yachid, and he holds that Eidim Zemim ein mishaman al piatzman. He holds that Eidim Zemim do not pay on their own admission. Why? Because he holds the whole Eidim Zemim is a knas, and the halacha is Ameda b'knas is pater, and therefore Rabbi did not mention the case of Eidim Zemim because we're not talking about chiyuv knases. We're talking about chiyuv memena. So the Gemara asks, so now the question is, listening today, Gavni Sher. The Cheder of Aisha, she mentioned two types of damages of the Shed. Just like he's mechalik between the Niske Adam, he's mechalik. So the Cheder, listening Shed, the Azik Shed. You should teach a case of a Shur Tam, on a regular Shur, damages another Shur, which when a Shur Tam damages another Shur, the halacha is only chayiv v'chatzi nezik, and the listening shur the azik adam, and you should teach when a shur damages another person. Now you can't explain to me that we said that there's two types of we can't, like we said before, because according to Rabbi Akiva, a shur tam, which is mazik, we said that the shita is that according to Rabbi Akiva, a shur tam which damages a person, even though it's a shur tam, the owner has to pay an ezik shalom. That's now we learned in the Mishnah later on. Rabbi Akiva says, "Af tam, even a shir tam, shechava ba'adam, which damaged another person." So the halacha is that mishalim b'meisin ezik shalom, he has to pay from the property of an ezik shalom. So the cheda, why didn't he mention the difference between the case of why wasn't he mechalik and say that there's a case of shir tam the azik shade and shir the azik adam? So my answer is how Tavar Rabbi Akiva existed. Rabbi Akiva broke like you broke the chiddush. Why the Tanya Rabbi Akiva? We learned Rabbi Akiva says, since we say that a tam that damaged a person has to pay an ezik shalom like a muad, so I would think yochal af tam shechavav adam yishalom and aliyah. I would think also that a shared tam that damaged a person also he has to pay from the best of chasim. That's what the pasuk says. Which means he only pays from the actual value of the share, but not from the choices of. Therefore, Rashi is not mechalik between Niskei Shir Adam by itself. Okay, so now one of the things that we mentioned is ha'oines ve'hamefata. We mentioned ha'oines hamefata v'hashemra. So the cheda. Now, in addition to the knas that you have to pay chamishim kosev, there's also a chiyuv mammon. that oines mefata has to pay pagam. That you raped, the one raped the made a pagam and the psula ubaishis. So l'cheda he has to pay mishum tsar. So the Fred Gemara listi the Rabbi should have mentioned oines mefata medjishemra if he's mentioning mamena. So Gemara says mimanashach. However, when you look at it, so the Gemara answers this manashach. However, when you're going to look at it, like this, nezek, if the chi was nezek, tana lei, you should mention it. Tsar, if oines mefata is tsar, tana lei also taught it. Boishes, if it's embarrassed, tana lei he taught it. Pigam, also hiding nezek. This is nezek. So my yisdach l'meimah, what are you going to say? Kanasa. So it must be that oines mefata mitzvah as a kanas. And kanasa loy kamaydi. Rabbi is not dealing with a kanas. Now, then we said, amatame v'amadame v'amenasech. We said that when somebody's matame medamea, v'amenasech the b'meinahu, which is a chiyah mamein, the cheda, it's not a kanas. So listening, let Rabbi mention it. So the Gemara answers and says, ma nafshach. However, when you look at it, it doesn't make sense for him to mention it. Why? Because if you hold that a damage which is not recognizable on the actual item is shmei hezek, and therefore he has to pay mikar din, so the cheda, in the case of metam medameh amenasech, that's considered hezek sheni nikar. Why? Because the fact is the payers still remain. Look at the payers still looked intact. It's just that now the payers become tamei or medameh or nesech. So the cheda, you should be chay mikar din mitzad nezek. So if hezek sheni nikar shmei hezek, so then you should be chayiv because you damaged, and so l'chera otan lei nezek. This is mamash damaging. Now, and hezek sheni nikar lo shmei hezek, and if Rabbi holds that a damage which is not recognizable, mikar adin is not considered a damage, then have a lei knosa. Then it comes out that it's a knas, or a knas lei kamaydi, and a knas we're not dealing with. So let us say that Rabbi holds hezek sheni nikar lo shmei hezek, that when you have a hezek which is not recognizable, it's not considered hezek. Why? If I hold that hezek nikar is shmei hezek, then the question is hatana lei nezek. Why would you mention it by itself? This is considered part of nezek. So the fact that it mentions in addition must be it's a kanas, and that's why it's mentioned by itself. So it must be the hezek sheni nikar is lei shmei hezek. So the Gemara says even if Rabbi holds that hezek sheni nikar shmei hezek, and he's chayiv to pay mikar din, nevertheless he has to mention it by himself. Why? Because tana hezeka de minkara. We're teaching damages which are recognizable and are part of nezek. Tana hezeka de le minkara, and tana hezeka de le minkara. And we taught also hezek sheni nikar b'fnei atzmai, and this is a case of metame, medame, and menasech. Now the Gemara asks, b'yishlam l'tana didan mela, according to our Tana minyana. So it makes sense why the Tana taught arba of his nezikin. Why are you saying 4? So the mutei, the ben Abisha, comes to exclude Abisha always. And Abisha, why did Abisha teach Ovis? Tana minyana taught shloisha aser of his nezikin. The mutei de Rebchia is coming to exclude the Ovis of Rebchia, which these are not the Ovis. He doesn't consider them Ovis. Fred the mother Ella minyana de Rebchia, where Rebchia says esim arba Ovis the mutei mai. What's it coming to exclude? What type of damages is not considered obvious? So my answer is this is if somebody masters his malshin, he masters to the government, and now the guy lost the money, his property was taken away, or a mafagel, when a kohen shechs a korban and has a machshava, a pigul, so he had it for the wrong korban. For example, let's say he had the shech the korban chatas, and he did it l'shem shlomim, so that he makes the korban, he damages the korban, and these two things that Rabbi Chia is being memayit. He's being memayit that when a meiser and a mafagel will not be considered a av nezikin. Yeah, but it's not considered av nezikin. He holds that's not in the category of what the Torah says mefedish. That's why he gives a number. So, Fred, the Gemara listening. So, why does Rabbi Chia mention? Why is he memayit? So the Gemara says, he doesn't mention mafagel because bekoshem like a because he's not dealing with koshem. Ela meiser, my time alay, Tony. Why didn't he bring down meiser? So Gemara says, Shani Moiser is different than other mazikim, the dibura. Because how did the guy damage? He damaged with his words. And we're not dealing with damages by words. We're dealing with damages by action. What?
What's a shame?
Oh, so the Gemara says, well, Mitzvah Shemra the Dibur. Mitzvah Shemra is Dibur, right? He made a Mitzvah Shemra with a Dibur of the person and a Ktoni, and Rabbi Chia taught Mitzvah Shemra. So the answer is Dibura the Isbi Maisu. At the end of the day, it's a Dibur, but it came through a Maisa because he was boiled the Psula, and then he made a Mitzvah Shemra. Mashenkein, in the case of Meiser, it's a Meiser which didn't come from a Maisa. Practically, the lesbian Maisu. We know Edom Zemimim. It's a dibur which is no Meiser. All they just did is they lied and Ktani, and nevertheless, Rabbi mentioned it. The answer is Hassam. In the case of Edom Zemim, Alpha the lesbian Meiser. Even though there's no Meiser by Edom Zemim, Rachamon Karyo the Meiser. The Teda does consider it a Meiser. The Ksiv, as the Teda says, Vasisim loy kasher zomim lasis lo'achim. It's a special Gzeres HaKasav. Now the Gemara asks, according to our Tana Oves, why does it say Arba Oves the Zikin? Michlal the Ika tell this. It must be, when you say that somebody's a father, it must be that he has children. And we explained in Daf Beis, what the Toldos are. But according to Rabbi Oves, when you say Oves, Michlal the Ika told this. It must be that there's Toldos. So the question is, Toldos say, what are the Toldos of these Oves? Rabbi says, really, there is no Toldos. Why are you calling it Oves? Because Kulam ka Oves the Shalom Emetiv, which means that all of these Oves, you have to pay from, just like the Arba Oves, you have to pay for the best of the land, so too all these Arba Oves, all these Oves, you have to pay from the best of the land. My timer. Why? Because I learned from Agzir Shov of all the Nezikin, I learned now from Tachas, Nesina, Yijal, and Kesef, from all these. If you look, I think I saw in the Hebrew article today, they have a list of like all the Oves and exactly which pasuk we learned it out from the Gzir Shova. English also, yeah, but okay. You see the chart there? Okay. All right. So he's saying, the Mishnah said that the share is not like Maveh. What exactly, what is the Tana saying? So over this is what it means to say. The Torah should only write one of them, and I can learn out the other two from that one. So let the Torah only write the Chiv of Sheir, and I'll learn out Maveh from that if Sheir is Chai, Maveh is also Chai with a Mamatzino. Hadar Omar, then the Tana said, I can't learn out one from the other, because there's a Chumrah by each one. So that's what it means, that each one has a Chumrah, and I can't learn out one to the other. It says each one, this one and that one, have a Ruach Chaim. What does the Tana mean to say? This is what the Tana means to say. Tana means to say like this. Lichtiv Rachmana Tarti. Hachi Gomer. Lichtiv Rachmana Tarti. Let the Torah write two of us. V'teisi idach minayu, and I'm going to learn out the other of us from this. So it's a long Rashi, and I'll explain it outside. Let the Torah only write Shade and Maveh, right? We have Shade, Bain, Maveh, Heber. So let the Torah only write about a Shade. Let the Torah only write about Maveh. In other words, like we said, that is Karen and Shane. And I can learn out Aish. I'll learn out Heber. Why? If the Torah would only write Keren, so I can't learn out Aish from there. Because I can say, Malak Keren, Shekin Kavanos Hazik. Mashekin Aish, you can't say that. And then you can answer that Shane will disprove that, which we know Shane is not Kavanos Hazik, and nevertheless the Torah makes it Chayiv. But you could push that as well and say that also from Shane you can't learn it, because you can't learn Shane to Aish, because B'Shane there is Anol Hazeki. Mashekin Aish, there's no Anol Hazeki. And then you could say that Karen will disprove that because there's no Anol Hazeki and it's Chayiv. So what do we see? That Lav Dafka, the Torah is Machayiv this way. And since you have two psukim and you have chumras over here, so the Chera mashma, these chumras are not very in the Chiyuv. So what? So why? Because this chumrah, these two avos, it's darkam hazikam. Ushmirasa is mutal on the person, which is going in the Chiyuv. So this is what the question is. The Cheda I should learn from the case of shade and mave, which Keren and Shin, I should be able to learn that out from Eish as well. Now, Hadar, then the Tana says, Omar Chada mitartele osi, I can now learn out Eish from shade and mave. Why? Because each one has a chumrah that Eish does not have, because Eish doesn't have a Ruach Chaim, and you could say that's what the Torah says he is Mechuyah. Mashenk in Eish, which does not have a Ruach Chaim, that's what the Torah has to say also about Eish. Okay, it's a long Rashi, but that's Bekitzer. Omar Rabba says, B'chulu, all the Avos Zigin, Kishadisa Ber Minayu, in the Torah write this, and also Beir, also Kula B'ma'atzat, I can learn all the Avos Zigin from Atzad HaShava from them, because I can't find the Chumrah in one of the two. Now, the bar, except for Kedem, you can say, Malachulun, by all the Avos Zikin Shekain Mu'adim Mitchila. So we know all the Avos besides for Kedem, they become a Mu'ad right away. Well, Mashenkein Kedem, which is a Tam the first 3 times, and it pays a Chasinizah. Well, and according to the opinion that says Adarab, Keren Adifa, Keren is greater, it's more Chomer, Kavanasa Lahazik. I feel Kevin Nami also, you could even learn out Keren from Beir, and the other Avos with the Tzad HaShava. So now Rabbi is going to explain, according to his opinion, why does the Torah have to say Arba Avos the Zigin? Ella Lamai Hilchasa Kasvina Nachmana. So why does the Torah, if I can learn it out from all this back and forth matzad and all these different ways of twisting, so why does the Torah have to go ahead and actually write Arba Avos the Zigin? So Rabbi answers, the reason why the Torah has to write it is the Hilchai Sayin for special halachas by the Avos the Zigin. In other words, Keren, Torah has to write Keren, the Chalik B'tam the Mu'adis. They tell me that when a shir damages and he's a Tam, he pays a Chatzin as a Migufay. After 3 times, he becomes a Mu'ad and he pays Weir, Nezek Shalom from the Aliyah. Shen V'regel, the Torah has to tell me, L'Peitrei, Rishus Arabim, that if animal damages Shen V'regel in the Rishus Arabim, the Bala Asher will be Pater, like the Pasuk says, Bir B'stei Acher. And we see B'stei Acher, V'lei B'rishus Arabim, the Gemara learns out. Bur, when it says Bur, Lifter, by Esakelim, it's coming to Pater that if Kalim fall into the bird, like the pasuk says, "V'naful shama sher chamor," and we don't have chamor, that means that chamor is and you're pater from the Kalim. So that's why it's special limud. Now, Rabbi Yehuda, the Machayv on Niski Kalim with bird, according to Rabbi Yehuda, he learns out that Niski Kalim will be chayav in the bird. So my answer is lifter beis adam. The pasuk of shade is coming to pater the bala bear from if the person falls into the pit. Adam that damages a person. The chayve ba'abad varim is the tummy is going to be chayiv in 4 things, which are netzar, ripoy, sheves, ubeishus. Mashenken other mazikim, you don't chayiv them. Eish, why does the Torah say eish lifter es atamon? That if there is kalim which are, let's say, b'secha gadish, and it damages, like it says, v'nochel gadish ekama, and from it a chacham learn out, they only chayiv if it's gully, but not if it's at tamon, so you'll be pater. According to Rabbi Yehuda, which is mechayiv tam beish lasuyin, what does it come to include? Lasuye, Gemara says that vobel and aleph, lasuye is coming to include lichna even a damage which is not very common. For example, if the fire damaged the what's the near in English, the plowed fields, and it blackened the stones, as the pasuk says ki seitze eshu matzah. And from Rabbi Yehuda says, from the word asada, it teaches us that esh will be chayiv also with nezek of karka or yavon. That's why the Torah, Maskana the Gemara, that's why the Torah has to write all these 4 of us.
Deep fresh. Where? I thought we falls, we talk about.